Well, this part where it gets really quiet, and it's just like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Now we're in. Beautiful.
Did you ever
What?
play instruments?
I played trombone when I was a child, when I was but a wee lad.
What do we like?
But a wee lad, wee lass. I played. Oh, hello, Ferris. You wanna
lad.
come?
That's right. Because a
Lad.
lad is a girl.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, you know, you can be whatever. You can be a lad. You can be a lass.
Yeah.
Or you can be. My cat is a lad. He's a little lad. He's just saying hello to everybody. You know, but I did play. I played trombone. Did you play something?
I played the flute.
How was that experience for you?
It was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long
I
did you?
didn't feel particularly connected to it. It lasted 2 years, but I quit because it wasn't cool, and I regret that.
You quit because it wasn't cool?
It wasn't cool at Flat Rock Middle School. It wasn't cool to be in band anymore.
Well, that's wrong. It's always cool.
Know.
Yeah.
It has to do what's cool. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to be in band. Welcome back to the Chaos Twins, everybody.
Hi guys.
It's been 2 weeks. My cat's being really cuddly right now, I guess. He's very cuddly mood right now. But it's nice to be back. We're back today doing the thing. Sasha, how you been these 2 weeks, my friend?
Well, I went home for the first time since everything hit, the pandemic. And it was good. I secured the perimeter at home. I had to see what was going on with the elderly people that I call my parents. And I don't know if they call themselves elderly, but they are in the risk group. So we had to go see how they were managing.
Yeah, what was that process like? Going back, because you just went back. You got into me. So first of all, you had the COVID. You had the you.
Oh, she did. Yeah.
So you already knew you had the antibodies. You were like, I'm good to go back.
Yeah, I knew I had it, but I went and got tested just to make sure that I didn't still have it, or and then I also got tested for antibodies, and apparently I have a lot.
Amazing. We love it.
Good for me. We love it. So yeah, I did all of that, and then in addition to securing my perimeter in that way, I'll also say this is how you secure your perimeter on a flight.
All right, well, let's really pick this apart, guys, because there's a lot to look at here.
Yeah, this is what you do.
So here's what I'm liking that I'm seeing. I'm seeing space in the seats. Nobody's sitting directly next to you.
Nobody. My sis is taking the pick.
Yeah.
Sis is next to me. She's in the window seat. I'm in the aisle. There's nobody in between.
There's nobody in between. I'm seeing the eye mask. I like that.
There you go.
Don't let anybody look you in the eyes.
No, because that's how you get the COVID.
That's scientific? That's a scientific fact that's
eye contact is a risk.
Sasha, I'm pretty positive that that's not the case.
Really?
I don't think it's the case that eye contact is going to get you. I don't want to be putting information out that people. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like people will actually listen. Maybe they will listen.
I feel like it's a risk in that, like, you make eye contact with somebody.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, I'm welcome to come talk to her," or maybe that's just me as a young woman trying to walk down the street in Harlem.
I can understand that, because I was going to say, if I make eye contact with people like Aaron Albano, who's already been dragging me this entire time, by the way, you know what I mean? If I make eye contact with most people, they usually will walk away.
Ooh.
Like, we won't have a conversation.
What's that like? Anyway, yeah.
Lonely.
Headphones, neck brace for the sleeping.
Yeah.
Mask. And then that awkward upright situation, you see? It's not, it's really not comfortable.
Ooh, don't turn to me though. Don't turn your head to me. That I don't like.
I want to show you what an unsecure perimeter on a plane looks like though.
Now here's the other. Sasha, your hair though. Sasha, the indent in your hair.
Do you know where that came from? Can you tell?
Well, I'm gonna guess that it was the seat.
Yeah, that directly back
Mm, mm,
Yeah,
mm.
exactly. Anyway, secured
No,
the perimeter.
I mean,
Went
that,
home, secured my facial perimeter. Nothing could get in.
yeah,
No sound.
yeah,
No particles. No breath particles. So
nothing, nothing,
that was
nothing.
good. But I went down south. I'm going to say this because we're going to talk about your perimeter. I went down south, and for me, that's every time. It's just interesting. And there are things I love, like sweet tea, manners, Zaxby's fried chicken. I mean, I can't tell you how much fried food I had. I ate so much. I love a nice southern drawl. I love a June bug. They're loud and proud down there.
Yeah.
I love greenery. I just got to look at I love it. I love my family. I love all of it. I love people. But let me tell you, it's different. And it always makes me think, especially now, and I think with the masks and everything, there's just I just feel the political divides are so, it's just stark and a lot. And as a Black woman with natural hair, whether it's wrapped or in a fro, I'm going to tell you, you run into it. Sometimes I feel like it's different down south, and I know it exists everywhere, but it's a very specific, visceral experience. And having been out of it and going back, I haven't been able to put words to it, but just in time for this week, I guess, and where we are and what we're dealing with.
Yeah. So
again.
Yeah. So it's interesting, guys. I think that we're in a both me and Sasha in a very interesting place right now. And I'll put up the perimeter check graphic today. But how did you do it? How did you secure your perimeter? The world is chaos. How do you maintain your boundaries against social media trolls and NYC water bugs, while systemic racism and glaring socioeconomic inequalities exacerbated by global pandemic? What took you by surprise this week? How did you do it? And I will start by saying that I'll start with how I secured my perimeter, and then in the tag-em, I'll show you why I had to secure my perimeter. Okay? So how I secured my perimeter this week. I am off social media this week. I am not on social media.
Won't find them there.
Cut it.
Although you did post about our show.
I did one story about our show. One story, and that's it. And that's a little bit. And I didn't look at any of my notifications. I was like,
got in, you got out.
Got in, got out. And the other thing that I'm doing this week is I'm taking a look at this show. I'm going back to this show. So there was a show that came on back in the 2010s called Treme. Treme is about New Orleans. New Orleans, outside of my hometown, is probably my favorite city on earth. I love New Orleans so deeply. And I had just finished up a watch of The Wire, which is just an incredible. I mean, it's the best show ever written. Yeah, you got to watch The Wire. I know. I think Diana, if you're watching, I know that you've been watching The Wire as well. And which is awesome. What's up, Diana? But Treme, if The Wire is about how the American institution cripples the working class, Treme, which is by the same writer and the same team, is about how the working class can overcome that institution. It takes place in New Orleans right after Katrina, and you're literally just watching this town, very apropos to right now, actually, watching this town who's, the city who have just been through this horrific, turbulent time, piece together their lives and their culture, and in that David Simon way, he's the creator and writer. He just goes for a sense of realism that is unfound in any other shows. I mean, you really are just dropped into these worlds, no exposition, no explanation. Diana, the Wire will in fact break you. So The Wire is not an easy watch, and neither is Treme, but The Wire is certainly not an easy watch. But Treme is at least hopeful, and I actually would say after you finish The Wire, Treme is a great one to watch. So it's just shutting off social media and watching shows that make me happy, and just taking time for myself. I'm also in the middle of getting ready for class. So that's been crazy, like figuring out a curriculum.
You're a teacher.
Yeah. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna teach these kids, man. I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned about it.
Honestly, I've been thinking a lot about teachers because I think, and I know this is you're stepping into it for the first time,
Mhm.
but I think I'm thinking about them starting this school year and the chaos that all of that is. And they're really, as per usual, on the front lines of anything that's happening. Like they're the ones dealing with the kids and just the chaos of trying to get them in school and stay safe themselves and sort of walk the lines of like all the charged. I just think about like an elementary or not an elementary really, but like a high school, like post an election, like down south, like it's just always like tense. And you have these kids who don't really know what to do with all the messages they're getting about politics and the charged like nature of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the teachers have to like be in the middle of that with their own opinions and their own things and then try to accomplish like a lesson plan. And now all of that is virtual. Like I've really been thinking a lot about educators.
Well, and it's also and educators, yeah, definitely, but also I can't imagine being a freshman and coming into school. This is your first year.
Yeah.
I can imagine. And like we're gonna do it. And if any of my future students are listening right now, I will say, like, don't worry, we're gonna have a blast.
You're like, oh God, he's our
no, we are gonna have a great time and there will be stuff to learn, but it's just like it's crazy. But this actually brings me, if you don't mind, to the tag'em.
Yeah.
Which I will segue into by first let's talk about Jacob Blake.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it would be so nice to turn on my it would be so nice to not wake up and see that somebody else has been shot. It would be so nice to not be afraid to wear certain clothes or look a certain way or walk down the street. That would be such a nice thing. What a nice thing to not be afraid in your own country. 7 times. You shot this man 7 times. 7 times. And now, and what happened last night was that we had two people have been killed now by people who
injured.
Yeah. So one
counter protester. I don't really know if that would be the word. There was a group of individuals armed individuals who decided to protect a gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And that gas station, after the quote unquote peaceful protest dispersed and the curfew went into effect, became sort of a second gathering or front that turned violent to the point that 2 people were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And this was citizens, which is, and I think one of the things that strikes me about it is we'll talk about the damage to property and we'll talk about it in terms of numbers and how expensive and how much and, what was burned down and how much was lost or how much was looted, the damages. And we're not talking about life. And what I find twistedly ironic, and I don't know if irony is I don't know if I'm using irony the right way because honestly, I don't know if I know the meaning of the word irony anymore. But hashtag isn't that ironic, but that there used to be a price tag on Black life. That we were it was very clear what we were worth monetarily. And now, since we cannot be bought and sold, we will talk about the protection of property over the protection of these Black lives and the lives that are lost and the families that are lost and what it costs.
I wholeheartedly, as always, you are incredibly astute about that, and I completely agree with you. And we can continue talking about Jacob Blake throughout the day. And by the way, we have an amazing guest, by the way, so we do have some awesome stuff to get to. But I just got to get this out. This, on top of all this, as if this wasn't enough.
The RNC is happening, and it is insane.
The RNC is happening, is insane, and that leads me to today's tag 'em. Tag someone who's doing the work, activism, community service, arts and action, or otherwise, who's making their corner of the world a better place. And I almost wish that we had a version of this that was an anti-tag 'em, because
this is a troll 'em. That's what we need.
This is a what the hell are you doing? This man, Daniel Cameron, age 34, the youngest. I think the youngest AG in Kentucky history. Certainly the first Black AG in Kentucky history.
Yeah.
Who is responsible largely, in looking into Breonna Taylor's murder. I read through his transcript of what he talked about last night at the RNC, and was nary a mention of.
I'm gonna read
please.
He said.
Yeah.
So this is the portion the very brief portion that addressed anything surrounding Breonna Taylor. He is in fact in charge of the investigation of her murder. Quote, "Democracy is a system that recognizes the equality of humans before the law. Whether you are the family of Breonna Taylor or David Dorn, these are the ideals that will heal our nation's wounds." David Dorn, for reference, is let me read it correctly, was a retired Black police captain in St. Louis who was killed in June by someone looting a store during protests. This is a conflation of two tragedies that I feel does such a disservice to both lives. And to equate the murder of a citizen by police officers because of a failure on their end, on their communication, their system, the brutalization of Black bodies by police officers is very different than the killing of a retired police officer during a looting incident. Yeah.
No,
and I feel like it is disrespectful to both lives.
I'm going to say this. Joe Biden made a gaffe way back on, I forget which show he was on, but he said, if you're voting for Trump, you ain't Black.
Breakfast Club, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I definitely think it was the Breakfast Club. And it was a thing that, he shouldn't have said it. It was dumb. It was dumb. And he's walked, to his credit, he's walked it back. And acknowledged that it was dumb to say.
Yeah.
Lee Atwater was an infamous kind of Southern political strategist, and he had a really famous quote that I'm going to read, and it was about how to keep racism alive through politics. And I'm going to say the N-word a lot here, so excuse me. You start out in 1954 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger. That hurts you, backfires. So you say stuff like forced busing states' rights and all that stuff, and you're getting abstract. Now you're talking about cutting taxes, and all these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and a byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. We want to cut this is much more abstract than even the busing thing, and a hell of a lot more abstract than nigger nigger. Now, I'm looking at Daniel Cameron's transcript, which you can find on New York Times. He talks about illegal immigration. He talks about criminal justice reform. He talks about keeping our city safe. He talks about defenders of life. This black man stands on a stage and talks in incredibly coded language about the systematic execution of his own people, and stands up there for a man who has done more to progress that than any president in the last 20, 30 years. I have no respect for that man. I have no respect for that man. I'm so tired of being angry. I'm so tired of being ashamed, and I'm so tired of being scared, and I'm so tired of being angry, and I'm so tired of having to be angry at these dumb pricks who say that they stand for us, who are so proud to stand on the RNC stage and say that I'm a black man and I'm voting for Trump. I'm sorry, go fuck yourself. Go fuck all the way off. I normally try not to swear on this show. Fuck off. You have no idea the immensity of the history that you are spitting in the face of. And if you did and you still do it, there's literally nothing I can say.
That's sort of where I've been with it. Like, I've been watching the RNC. You haven't. And I think, and it just, I've been stuck at a place of like, you know, there's just we are so far apart. If this were a marriage, we'd be getting divorced. We're just so far apart. And I don't really know. I think, you know, what you're doing, like you have to disengage or create space and focus on what's in your corner. And we both kind of talked about like, what are we doing? And I asked you how you were doing today, and you said, I'm angry, but I'm ready to get to work. And I think there's some level of that too. It's just like, you can't, like, it's, what do you do with a Daniel Cameron? What do you do? What do you do? There's nothing to be done, but call it what it is.
Yeah. No, it's right. It's right. And I think, look, you know, I think what I'm very thankful for is that we've created a wonderful space in which to talk about these things. And I'm thankful for everyone who comes through bi-weekly, weekly to talk with us. And one of those people who's coming through, and I didn't want to bring it down, but there's just so much going on. But I'm happy. I'm actually very happy that we have the guests that we have today, because of all the people to have in the room. This every time that I see this man, he is just such a freaking bright light. And he's just such a good friend. You know, you've seen him on Insecure on HBO.
Nick hasn't.
I'm about to drop something on you because actually, well, I'll wait till he gets on here.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna bring him on because I love this boy, Alex Hodge.
Yay!
What's up, family?
Get in
How
here.
we doing?
Yeah.
What's up, beautiful man?
What were you waiting for me to get in for?
I went and looked up like all clips that I could find of your work on that show in the past 3 days.
You went for the snippets.
I went for the snippets. And we'll get into my insecurities with Insecure, but that's for later. But I want to first start by saying, and I've told you this several times. You're a brilliant actor, bro.
Thank you, man. Coming from the Nikki Walks.
Nuh-uh.
You're hearing this. Sasha Hutchings as my witness. Nikki Walks. We go back. I think all three of us met around the same time. I met both of you around the same time.
ABC show.
Yeah.
Nick and I had some
You guys go further back.
We
This
go
is all
back.
about me now. So I'm talking about the three of us knowing each other.
It's so
waiting
true.
room. The ABC waiting room is where it goes down.
The ABC waiting room.
Do you remember that was such a that was almost 4 years ago.
That was 4 years ago.
Wow, time flies.
I just want to say, so okay, we met around auditioning for the diversity showcase at ABC with Erica Hart, who we had on.
You just had.
What I will say is that Nick and Alex have both been a part of the diversity showcase, and Alex was one of my first scene partners. Library scene. And while they were both cast in the diversity showcase, I was not. And while one of us from that library scene has made many appearances on Insecure, I've been reading the library scene in every diversity audition since.
So I just have a question. So what is the library scene? I don't know.
Is that the one written by? Did John Cariani write that one?
I don't remember. I should, right? I've read it. I could do it with you right now.
What is it? What happens?
All I remember is shoes. I remember taking shoes off or something like that.
Did you?
I think I took my shoes off or something.
I'm going to say that was a choice because I haven't had scene partners take their shoes off. So
well, if you take your shoes off, kid.
That's it. Now you're in.
It's about he's bringing a briefcase in, and we go back and forth between thinking that we're top secret agents or something, and he thinks like he's delivering a package. Yes. And I am going back and forth between playing like I am a secret agent and I'm flirting, but I'm not. I feel like I've done those for cold reads, but that one's actually pretty fun.
Okay,
I would know.
I like that. It's a beautiful library scene. It's a beautiful. Super.
It's lovely. It's so lovely.
Super library scene. So Alex, how have you talked to us, man? So how have you been keeping, bro? How's your quarantine going? How's this time for you? Because this is a crazy time for all of us.
You just gotta laugh, man. Someone sent me a text yesterday. Dear friend of mine, a little text thread. They said, as they sent a quote, and I can't remember who originally said it, but they said, "Comedy is tragedy plus time." And I think I'm just trying to accelerate that time part and just laugh at all this shit now because
that's good. That's really good.
I heard you guys talking about Jacob Blake and what's happening in Kenosha right now. Kyle Rittinghouse, whatever his name is, Kyle Rittinghouse. That 17-year-old scumbag. Listen, as somebody who lives with mental health and deals with mental health, don't put shit like mental health onto what that act is, because that makes us look bad when we can all keep our shit together. Some scumbag who's full of hate, who's pumped up on what the RNC is spouting right now, is going on to take matters into their own hands. What are they called? Boogaloo Boys or whatever. Firstly, if that's the name, it's like the I've heard of that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm gonna have to look. Yeah. It's like some militia thing. Firstly, fuck Boogaloo Boys. Give me the Bodega Boys. And
there you go.
If you don't know who the Bodega Boys are, that's your problem.
Now we're in.
All I'm saying about that.
Locked in.
It's going super well.
Yes.
Episode is well.
No.
This is just everything that's on my brain right now, on my mind. Just watching the RNC and laughing.
Yeah.
Firstly, I got like a thing. Firstly, what's her name? Melania. She never wanted this job. She never asked for it. Secondly,
I'm out.
She just wanted to get rich. That's all she wanted. She wanted some money.
We don't know what Melania wanted, but I think that it is maybe fair to say that this is not what she had envisioned.
She wanted this. And then to have to follow Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
She didn't want that.
She didn't
want to look like a fool like that.
Joe Biden didn't want that. Nobody wanted that. Like Joe Biden didn't want that. I'm pretty sure Barack Obama didn't want that. Nobody wanted to follow Michelle.
Yeah, I will say the only person who came close was Barack.
So good.
That speech.
He came with that heat. He came strong.
And Kamala's got me too. Kamala's speech. I said,
woo! The introduction, that montage.
I was like, let's go.
Yes.
Kamala got me because it's like I could see the overwhelming amount of joy.
Yes.
Of like being able to step into that place and be who she is in this moment. And I was really just taken aback by what I read as gratitude for just being in that space and knowing what she represents. And it seemed like it was in contrast to Barack Obama and Michelle, which was very like sobering and grounding. I just felt this surge of like, I don't know, overwhelming like joy with her. I was taken by that. She's also beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's always amazing. And this is actually something we want to ask you about, Alex. Just in terms of representation, because this is something that I think is a huge topic for this election year. And with Kamala being in this race now, I mean, there's a whole swath of people who now get to see themselves possibly achieving this job and a door opening up. And you, it's so funny because of, at this point, how well I know you, like you're literally one of the chillest dudes I know. And just your sense of like tranquility and like calm, but like truly one of the things that I will say, doing my insecure catch up has been like truly like realizing like, and I know you've done myriad interviews about this, but like how groundbreaking your work, even in this short span of time, has been for people who look like you. And I mean, I just definitely like, is there a pressure around, like, how do you handle everything that comes with that?
I think mainly the pressure for me is like pretending to be as cool as my character is. That's like the main thing, is like everyone thinks that Andrew is so cool, right? Because he's always decked out in Raf Simons, Valentino. He's got his Union J's, he's head to toe, and he's like a music exec. He's got the hookups. I'm not that cool. Like I'm really just a homebody who hangs out at home trying to figure out what's going on. What am I going to eat for dinner? Right now, the extent, and like quarantine aside, the extent of how exciting my life is I'm 2 movies away from finishing the Marvel Comics universe in order.
So proud.
Thank you. Yeah. But like that's I'd be doing that anyway. You know what I mean? Oh, look at that.
Your face was covered up by our logo, which our logo is but you're our guest.
It is. It was literally in my face.
I know. I was trying to dodge it.
No, I like do this. I think it's like a little like tick of mine. I'll like, if I feel uncomfortable, I'll like.
Are you uncomfortable?
Yes. I'm uncomfortable because like this is live and people are watching. So naturally. Like again, I'm not as cool as my character. I'm telling you, this is the truth. Like I try to live up to Andrew's standards and it doesn't work out for me. But no, I mean, in terms of like representation and stuff, I feel like you guys know, man, like we're in the representation game literally because we are who we are. Mm-hmm. Like that's the only reason like we're even a part of like we don't have to actively be a part of representation. We just get a job and we're representing. Mm-hmm. That's how much it's stacked against us. You know what I mean? Like if you get your foot in the door, if you make it in, you are representing. You're doing it for the team, you know? So I don't feel like I have any kind of job to live up to other than just keep on keeping on. I think the thing that is important to me, and I think is important for all of us here, is that once I'm in the room, is to change that room before I move on to the next one. That's our job in terms of representing, is to like prop the door open and let others through, and change that room, and then onto the next and onto the next. I feel like that's probably the closest thing to any kind of duty that we have in terms of representation.
But even that, I mean, because Sasha, this goes back to work that you're always doing. I mean, that work, as simple as that sounds, you know, and yes, you can just do it by doing your best work and by being kind on set and by just leaving a good taste in people's mouths. But that work is fighting as you said, a deeply entrenched system. And I know that you also do a lot of advocacy for mental health as well. And it's the same thing there. It's these places where we feel we have an understanding.
Right.
And so even just the work of just being a nice person coming up against what people's expectations might be, that's some serious work.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we're always challenging convention and conceptions because there isn't enough representation already to show authenticity to that degree. So I guess so.
Sasha, what were you gonna?
So that kind of what you just said leads into a little bit of what we want to talk about with Nick, his insecurity around insecure, and like, you know, there's not enough representation for you to not feel that pressure, and I think that insecure, at least for me, especially as a Black woman, represents like a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of things that I've never seen on television before. And it's sort of this, I feel like this representation of a section or a dynamic of Black life that like doesn't really exist anywhere else on television in that way. There's something very specific and unique about it, and also very personal and real. I think the closest I come to it is like Black lady sketch comedy show, which like Issa's a producer on. And so there's like this very specific section of Black culture that even I would say, you know, a lot of Americans don't know. And even Nick is someone who would say, that's not the culture I come from as a Black person. And here you are stepping in. And I wonder for you, was there like, what is that like for you to step into this? Is it just as foreign as something else? Or is it like, were you aware of a different rhythm or a different space or like this? Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like because so much of it is foreign to me as somebody who's not from here as well, you know, it's hard for me to sort of distinguish at times because of the way that I'm consuming things and taking things in, is like what is strictly in a cultural sense Black versus American versus Black American versus LA versus South LA. You know what I mean? I'm constantly taking in information on the job and just by being here that I don't always qualify to that degree. I take it all in. I guess I just take it all in with the understanding that everything is different and embracing that, you know, embracing and celebrating the differences, you know. Prior to being on the show, I think I'd spent maybe 2 months in LA all up. And so I guess it worked in my favor because I didn't have to, you know, change any preconceived notions of LA, of what it was like, of like, you know, the West Hollywood version of LA, the, you know, the white experience of LA, the Asian experience of LA, the Black experience of LA. I was just so new to LA. So learning about the world of Insecure, which I was already a fan of the show beforehand, which helps. But like leaning into it and really working on it, I guess I was just learning everything as I went along, and I didn't have to break down any preconceptions because I didn't really have any, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I think a keen awareness of the fact that, you know, I'm serving a story where the story can reach somebody like me, but it's not about somebody like me, and taking that into everything that I'm doing, knowing that if I don't understand something that's going on, if I'm not in on the joke, that's also okay.
Yeah.
And learning about that and learning like the resonance of the joke. Do you know what I mean? As I go through. So yeah.
Well, I don't know if everyone knows, but you are Australian.
Yes.
Will you tell what is your ethnicity, like your ethnic background?
I am half kind of split down the middle. My father is Irish and my mother is Singaporean, Chinese Singaporean. So I am Eurasian, I guess, is the buzzword for somebody like me. But yeah, I'm kind of like a fourth culture kid. You know, my mom was an immigrant who raised me in Australia, and then I moved to America. And so where's home? I don't know.
Home is where you make it. No, I'll tell you where home is. Home is Halloween Horror Nights, bro.
Yeah, you know, one of the good things about being in LA is being Nick's theme park partner.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's one of the joys of LA life. And now that Sarah's over here, it's going to happen a lot more often, and it's going to be great once it's safe.
Once it's safe. Sasha, what were you going to say?
Okay, so this is what I wanted to ask. So Nick, when I was talking to you about Insecure, and you let me know that you didn't watch the show and why, you listed you said a very specific thing. I said, why would you not? Do you feel like you don't fit into this world? And you said something in reference to lineups that I think speaks volumes, and I'd like to make that the jumping off point. So will you start?
So first of all, I just want to clarify what I said. I said that I watched the first season.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. Exactly. Shut up.
Because I'm not the only person you know on the show.
No, you're not.
Right. Like, I know friends.
This is very true. I watched the first season, and here's we'll start with lineups, and then we'll expound.
Exactly.
So what I said essentially to Sasha, one of the things that I think is amazing about the show is that all the men on the show, yourself included, are stunning. Like for one of the
we love it. We love to see it.
It really is, and it's in this incredibly refreshing way where, you know, especially if you've been watching HBO for any length of time, you know that, like, you know, from 93 up until 2020, the majority of the shows are very, like, they objectify a lot of women, like that women are these objects. And so to see this show that's not only told from a woman's point of view, not only told from a Black woman's point of view, but in which the men are actually, in a way, way more objectified than the women are.
We show way more skin. That's just the way it is.
And that's what it is. And it was like, okay, so like I loved that. I was like, okay, I love that. I'm in for that. It was this thing. Here's what I will say. If you grew up, you talk about like, where is home? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In Boston.
Too much context. What did you say?
No, I said the basic thing with the lineups was, like, I would never have a lineup like that. That's what I said.
Whose lineup are we talking about?
Anyone. I would not. I would never, to Sarah's chagrin, to my wife's anger, I would never look that neat.
Nick, explain to me what a lineup is.
Oh yeah, let them know. Inform the people.
So when you have any semblance of hair, okay, and especially for Black men, the lineup is getting trimmed, getting like a clean lines on your hair.
Notice he doesn't have one to show you.
You have what? You have a lineup to show me?
No.
Nick doesn't have a lineup to show. He's like, it's like clean.
Yeah. No, I shave. Well, this is why. So this goes back. I did not take care of my hair to the point where I was like, the moment that I was doing a show, and it was Alex Timbers who was like, "Yo, we need you to look like insane. Can you like shave your head?" I was like, "Bro, done." Because I don't take care of the shit anyway. Like, my hair literally looked like that kid from the Boondocks, like, every day. That's what I did. So I shaved it the moment. I never looked back. I was like, "This is it now. We're not even gonna bother with this." Because I used to have dreadlocks, And then I had crazy fro, and I was like, gone, gone, done. So that's the lineup comment that Sasha was referring to. The larger context of that comment, which I think is more prevalent to the conversation, Sasha.
I just said a jumping off point. You went into all this context. I didn't need it.
Was just no, but I think Alex, I think you spoke to this perfectly. It's like, and I think honestly, I also think that Alex kind of answered it. I think, and here's what I will say, Scout's honor, I will give the show a second chance after this episode, after what you said, which was the idea of just because you're not in on the joke doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It's okay. Yeah. I looked at these men. I looked at the guys that like Alon was playing. I looked at all these people, and I was like, not only would these people never be friends with someone like me, but these were the people that, aside from the white Irish kids, used to make fun of me in school. So like, I was like, it was like this very weird trick. I was like, I would watch the show and be like, ugh, like you talk about never being as cool as these guys. I was never as cool as those guys. And it was a visceral thing for me. And I was like, I actually, no. It just kind of crumbled in on itself. But I love what you said. And I think, and it's also, I think that the other part of this, and Sasha, I was thinking about this last night, is like, it's truly, it's not my story. Like, it's not. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the point. You know, so I want to have an open mind. I also know that there's like a deep insecurity that I have to get over in order to enjoy the show. But like,
I will tell you.
Go, please.
Without naming names. I was in hair and makeup one day, and one of my fellow male actors, I will not name any names, refused to get a lineup. So in solidarity with you, there is at least one black actor on the show.
I love that.
That doesn't.
Do you know?
Because it's not his thing. Like he doesn't like a lineup, and it's not for him.
Look at that.
So,
look at that. Yeah. Don't cut, Sasha. I don't like your coin. I don't like.
You want to talk about representation?
I'm here to make.
We got that. That representation of non-lineups having heads.
It's all there. Every kind of hair is there.
All kinds of hairlines. My receding ass hairline. You
look like a beautiful swarthy Captain Hook. It's what you look like.
Pulling it back too much. I gotta give it a break.
No, it's that like subtle like Dracula, that beautiful like pulled back into like the.
It's soft. It's a soft.
It's soft.
The numbers are going up. That's turning into a 5 real quick. It's about to be a 6 head if I leave it. So I gotta do something about it.
For my whole life.
I love it. No, yes, your hair looks great. Your hair isn't that. You have it wrapped.
See,
I'm talking about this 5 head.
I'm talking about a 5 head. You see,
I still kind of smart. I'm very smart. Don't get it twisted. I'm very intelligent.
That's how you know, right here,
right there,
the distance from hairline to brow line.
Small forehead. They got small thoughts. They got short, small thoughts.
I've never heard of that.
That is interesting. I'm gonna start looking at people's hairlines and start judging their intelligence from that now.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And don't look in the eye.
Speaking of Daniel Cameron, he looked.
Yeah.
I mean, part of me might not be my place to say, but that motherfucker looked ashy as fuck on TV last night.
I'm out.
No,
I'm saying. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear or not. I'm sorry, but like, man, he looked gray.
Well, the sunken place is ashy.
The sunken place is void of lotion.
Let me tell you where they don't have lotion.
The sunken place.
The sunken place.
No, it's very true.
Where they don't keep lotion.
Guys, I'll dip into the RNC at some point. I just can't. It's
rough. It's chocolate waters. So, okay, I want to transition to, we're talking about triggers. Nick got triggered when he watched the first season of Insecure. The RNC is very triggering. We want to talk a little bit about mental health and talk about your like advocacy for that, your involvement in it. You mentioned it in your bio. What is that for you? Let us in.
What is advocacy for mental health? For me, honestly, it's just I didn't feel like keeping up an exhausting lie that I'm perfect and I don't deal with things mentally. on a day-to-day, you know. Of the last couple of years, I've gone through a really tumultuous couple of years. My mental health has been all over the place. I'm talking like sky high and rock bottom. So, you know, I think I just remember how the first time I ever spoke about it, somebody asked me, you know, what it's been like, and I just was like, well, fuck it, I'll be honest and see, you know, whatever happens, you know. Because worst case scenario, people will react badly, but at least I know that I was honest and I can stand by that, and I don't have to, you know, pretend anything or keep up any kind of lie. But thankfully, I think people were ready to hear about it and talk about it because, you know, as we all know, I'm not the only one, and you know, there's been a really lovely, like community that I've found in people, you know, that have really sort of been expressive about what they go through and what they're going through. And I think now more than ever, because we're going through this insane time of unspeakable loss, you know, I don't know if there's going to be a way to really quantify what harm this time is doing on our bodies and our emotional health for a long time to come. It's a great time to speak about what we're dealing with and what we're going through. You know, there's so many different ways to deal with individually what's happening right now, right? And if you are dealing with anything like anxiety or depression or stress for the first time, it's great to have people to go to or to look to who have been dealing with things like this. You know, I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that are experiencing depression for the first time and are not quite sure what to do, anxiety and not quite sure what to do. You know, sometimes it's just to be able to look to somebody and realize, oh, okay, cool, I'm not having a heart attack. This is just a panic attack. And there are things that I can do. You know, there are things like progressive muscle relaxation. And if anybody here is hearing that for the first time and you suffer from anxiety, Google progressive muscle relaxation. You know, there are just little things like that. Like it's like breadcrumbs along the way. You know, I'm not the answer for everybody, and I never will be, and I shouldn't be, because I'd be a terrible answer. You'd fail the test. But you should have a lot of breadcrumbs from different people who are experiencing different things and sharing their journey. And that's like, I feel like that's all I'm doing is sharing my journey, as much as being an advocate or being a spokesperson or anything. I don't feel like anything like that. Like you guys know who I am, Nick. You know I'm a fool. So, you know, I feel like it's just advocating for transparency and honesty.
It really, I mean, I will say, as somebody who also tries to, I think all three of us are very, very down with this particular cause of yours. And it's so important right now, because I think that's just, I think you're right. I think we will be dealing with this for no matter when this ends, the recurring effects of this for quite some time, and there's no way not to. And I think it's something that we as Americans, and we just as people in the world, wherever you're from, we don't talk. I think I've told the story on this show before, but I think about my mother all the time, growing up in civil rights era Little Rock, and the amount of pain and trauma that she experienced, and that compared to the amount that she talks about it, and the amount that she has sat on for her entire life. And not to put her shit out there, but I just feel like we, especially us as a generation, we can be a generation that really changes the paradigm in terms of, guys, we got to get this out. We got to just, yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel the same way about my mother. You know, everything that she went through in her entire life, you know, being an immigrant and trying to assimilate and survive in a white society. It's just everything, even just everything that she's been through. And, you know, my mother is not a person who explicitly sort of, you know, believes in mental illness and things like that. And, you know, I don't blame her, because, you know, for a lot of people who struggle to believe in the concept of mental illness, it would open Pandora's box for a lot of people, because it would mean they would have to address a lot of things and look at a lot of things. If people were to believe that the body harbors trauma physically, they would have to look at a lot of things that they've really compartmentalized and buried deep down. And so, it's not about, telling people they're wrong for believing this or believing that. It's about just advocating for the space for mental health awareness. For, should you need help, should you want help, here is an avenue for support. Here is a language to have discourse for what you're dealing with, so that you are not sitting there in paranoia that you're the only one that's dealing with this. Here is a language, here are some terms, here are some things that have been useful to some people in similar positions, because even though it feels like it, you're not the only one who's having a panic attack. You're not the first, you won't be the last. And even though it feels like it, you're not going crazy, you're not weak, you're not a terrible person. You're just experiencing something and you need a little support.
It's so, powerful stuff, man.
Definitely. I feel like we'll probably do some more on mental health, because it's definitely something that Nick and I try to be really, really open about. Honestly, I try to edit, because I will stay with what my therapist says, and in therapy today, and I stay in a conversation in that way, and I'm like, I don't know, like I've made the whole world like my therapy room. Like I go and have this, and then I just talk about other people, but I find it's fascinating work. It's incredible work. It is incredibly hard. What you were saying about where we are right now, like I had what I perceived as my first panic attack during this whole thing. But honestly, when I go back and look at it, I'm like, oh, there's a level of anxiety that stays here. And it just got to the point that I couldn't handle it anymore. But now this baseline, even though this is where I was, is still not okay. And so then you got to go deeper and deal. And it's very hard. It's a very unpleasant work. And people who are going through that work, I think it's great to have supportive friends who are willing to, listen to me say my therapist says over and over and over again. And then also, like you said, some people don't want to do that work, and having the compassion for that as well, and be able to recognize like, okay, like that's not where you want to go. And I don't know why, I don't know what you had to deal with, or what education you have around this so far. And just think what you're saying, like just showing up, it's like advocacy. Yes. And there are so many organizations out there that really do promote this, especially in communities that don't have a lot of access to it. Beam is one that comes up to me. But at the same time, just being a person who's willing to be open and talk about it and recognize the power of it, I think is so great.
I think this goes back to what we were talking about in terms of representation as, Black, brown communities of color. The fact that we're opening this space up, it's incredible, because inherently in our communities, there isn't space for mental health. It's, a lot of it gets lumped into religion. A lot of it gets lumped into spiritual, religion and demons and so on. And it's sort of like it removes the onus of the behaviorism onto something else entirely, something external. It doesn't allow that introspection. And so for people of color, for Black communities, for minority communities, to have that space to allow for that introspection in terms of mental health and the awareness of mental stability, mental health in general, is, I mean, it's unreal. A generation ago, none of us had. So it's just the fact that we're talking about the fact that you are normalizing talk about having a therapist is revolutionary. It is. So 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you were openly talking about it. People would think, oh, she must be going through crisis. Oh, things must be really bad if she has a therapist. I hope she's okay.
I was watching, they've done a lot of this on Insecure. And I was watching Living Single. I was binging Living Single. And there's an episode where I think somebody's trying to go to therapy, and it is like this devastating event, like in this 90s sitcom. And now it's like this thing that we're showing more and more. And it's revolutionary, and it's some of the most important work, I think.
I agree. Yeah, dude. No, look. As I said when we started this, I was so happy to get you on the show because you're such a good person, and you got such.
I love you guys. Of course, I'm gonna drop by and hang out.
No, yeah, no. Before we let you go, we got to end. We got to end with this.
All right.
We here at Chaos Twins, we made a tradition, starting with Lynn, now going on to you, of ending with James Lipton's 10 questions. Are you familiar?
I'm nervous. No, I'm nervous.
Great, I love that. So James Lipton's 10 questions were 10 questions that he asked on his show, on his program, Inside the Actor Studio, and he asked them to every actor who came through. And it's just off the. It can be. There was at first there was like some. When we first did on the show, I think somebody got confused about, is it one word answers? It's not one word answers. It can be as long as you want it to be. But
is it rapid fire?
Is it not rapid fire? But I would say
yes, it's rapid fire. It's one word. You got to go fast.
All right. Okay.
Go with your instinct. Go with your instinct. Whatever the first one pops in your head. These are great. These are like legendary questions that all the great actors get asked, and now it's your turn. So, Alexander Hodge, what is your favorite word?
Oh, the first one that came to mind was precipice.
Ooh, that's good.
That's a great one.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. What is your least favorite word?
First word that came to mind was scunge.
I don't even know what is scunge? I don't even know what that means.
I think I might have made it up. I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, look it up. Make sure, because that's beautiful.
Okay. It's a noun. Oh, I was right. Yeah, it's a noun. It's synonyms: muck, scum, dirt.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
Scunge. All right, that's a great one. What turns you on?
Sense of humor and intelligence. I think those are hand in hand. I think you can tell a lot about a person's intelligence by their sense of humor.
That's good.
That's really good.
Their forehead.
That's really
their forehead. That's the two things. What makes them laugh, and how far back does it go?
What turns you off?
Ego. I just had the strongest image of a man mansplaining. And I don't know what that
that's
means
it.
Explicitly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty solid representation.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sasha just went somewhere real deep.
I got it.
Sasha just went deep. Sasha just said, yikes.
Did you feel that?
I'm in it. I'm having I'm tapping into me right now. It's like,
it's all right.
Let us know what we can do to help.
Nope, just gotta let it pass. Just gotta sit through this.
What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, I love the sound of Formula One cars. I just find it really satisfying.
What's that?
Race cars.
You know, like when they race past those those super fast Formula One cars.
Like on a racetrack?
Yeah.
You've been to a racetrack?
No, I just watch it on YouTube. I watch a lot of things on YouTube at the moment.
That's just one of them. Not safe for
No, I wouldn't. No, I would never.
Okay.
What?
James Lipton really asked these questions?
He asked. These were his 10 questions.
Wow.
Every episode. What sound or noise do you hate?
Screeching. I hate screeching. I hate sirens. I hate. Yeah, I would say those two.
What is your favorite curse word?
The F word's really versatile.
Yeah.
But I'm Australian, so I use the C word.
Oh,
sting.
Yeah.
We could do a whole episode on that.
We could.
Very.
In Australia, the C word is just as versatile as the F word.
Okay,
it's a cultural thing.
I just want to point out that the F bomb has been dropped numerous times during this interview.
I know.
Right now, we're gonna
keep.
We're gonna keep them up. But it's
this is James Lipton. You don't curse in the name of James Lipton.
favorite curse word. You're like, oh, the F word.
Yeah.
Because the C word was the first one that came to mind, and I was like, no, don't say it. Don't say it.
No.
So I was already self-censoring.
Yeah.
Fair.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I'd like to try farming.
Yes.
I reckon that'd be terrible, but I'd love to try it.
I feel like you'd be a good farmer. I feel like you'd have the
Is that
fortitude.
because I'm Australian?
No. Are Australians good farmers?
Well, Australians have a lot of farms, a lot of farmland.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, no, it's I would say the patience. The patience.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think you might not be good at it at first, but that you would have the patience to see it through.
Try again.
Try again.
You'd
Yeah.
be there, we'd be like, how's it going? You'd be like, oh, it's shit.
But I'm gonna keep on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep on.
Yeah, because that would be pride. I don't know if it's pride more than patience.
Yeah.
I've committed to this, and I'm not going to be shit at this forever because of the way my pride is set up. I gotta get good at it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, great. What profession other than your own would you not like to attempt? Would you least like to attempt? You never want to try it.
Working with adolescent kids. I just have a harrowing image of just like argumentative tweens. And like, I love kids, but like, oh, that's horrifying. Like, you know, when kids start talking back, you know, that age.
Yes. You went to a deep place just now.
I did. Because they're not yours. They're not yours. You can't punish them like that. You know what I mean?
They're not yours. You gotta remember. You gotta remember that.
Oh my God, that's good.
That's a good one. And finally, the final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you enter the pearly gates?
Sup, bitch?
There it is. That's perfect. I mean, that.
Just the image of that. Wouldn't that be cool?
Sasha's gone.
We lost Sasha. We lost her. She went to check. That's what he would say.
Sasha said, I actually can't handle it anymore.
It was the fastest answer.
That was the first thing that came to mind.
It was
Like,
class.
the
No,
S of pearly gates.
yeah, just like he's just the doors open and he's just imagine there chilling, wearing some Vans or something. I don't know. So
that would be excellent. I love
thanks
that.
for coming.
I like that. It's gonna be a good time. That's gonna be a good time.
Make yourself at home. What's up? Food in the fridge. You know what I mean?
I love. Hey, food in the fridge. Food.
Sorry, Mara.
No, it's okay. Listen. It's all right. It's all right. You know what? It takes.
She's disappointed.
It's not. It takes a village.
We don't know that Mara is disappointed. We don't. We know that she's surprised.
She's disappointed, maybe not in a negative way. She's just that her expectations were in the wrong place.
Well, now we've gotten to know each other a little bit better from this.
Listen, you are such a friggin' gem of a human. We are so happy that you came on the show. Anything you want to tell the people before we get out of here? No. Be safe.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves in these mean times. Do what you need to do. Vote. Be kind. Just be kind. Black Lives Matter. Be kind. That's I don't know why this is shit that needs to be said, but here we are.
Real. So. Dude, we love you. Stay on. We'll end this broadcast. But guys, we will be back in 2 weeks, right? We'll not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, right, Sasha? Is that correct? We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
It's the reverse, but yeah.
Yeah, the reverse. We'll figure it out.
They're coming back at some point.
At some point, we'll be back with this. But you guys
are not really going anywhere. So
yeah, exactly. Please take care of yourself. Please stay safe. We love you. Talk to you soon, y'all.
Bye, guys.